Welcome back to Films Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the movie The Villainess. Spoilers ahead, so how our villains or villainesses made. Check this one out. An assassin has taken an entire building of bad guys POV style, and trust me, it's some epic stuff. At first, it's the gun as she shoots her way through the axe-wielding men dodging axes flung at her every step of the way, and then she loses her gun somehow and pulls out two long daggers, and the mass slaughter continues through the corridors of this building and up the stairs and crashes through those windows to more rooms and more bad guys. They're everywhere, and either they're crying in pain for being injured or are waiting for their turn to be cut up. Eventually, like a video game, the assassin gets to a boss level, and through a mirror, her face is revealed. The bad guys defending the boss on this level are not even as fit as the ones on the lower floors, so she makes quick work of them. It's the boss's turn now, and he puts in some work, or at least tries to fight back, but you know he's no match for her irrespective of his relative size. She wraps a rope around his neck and jumps out the window, managing to hang him with her body weight. The police arrive and dare to arrest this legend of a woman. All she does is smile sadistically as she's about to be taken away. So now she wakes up in a room with a small bed and a cross on the wall, and as she does, some more sleeping gases pass through the air vent directly above her bed, and she's forced to fall back asleep. She's then transported to another room. She's drifting in and out of consciousness as she's operated upon. You can see the line marks the doctors have made on her face. So to remove any doubts in your minds, it's a plastic surgery operation and not an abortion. But where'd that idea come from? Well, it's soon after the surgery, and she's getting something to eat alone in another room. This interlude is gas too, and she can sense it, so she's referring back to her old training through flashback. Now back in the day, she, as well as others, were being trained on how to hold their breaths underwater. After 5 minutes, their instructor threw in some knives into the water so they could cut themselves loose, but Sook-hee, as she's known, remains in the water. Her trainer's compelled to jump in to rescue her, and once back on the surface, he tries to resuscitate her but realizes she was bluffing. Now that same bluffing attitude is at play as she attacks her new captors and runs. She's trying to find the exit and comes across other girls in other rooms as she goes, and now she's grabbed one of the orderlies as a shield in one of the rooms. Yeon-soo offers to help, and so they get to the roof and jump, but Kwon tranquilizes her, and when she wakes up, she's surrounded with a group of operatives looking at her through CCTV. Yeon-soo is a spy boss lady. And when they're alone in an interrogation room, she brings Sook-hee up to speed. Well, she's been given a new identity and life by virtue of her skill set. Basically, Sook-hee is a killing machine, and the government wants her, hence all the trouble of arresting her earlier and administering plastic surgery. Apparently, she's valuable like that, but she doesn't think so, and instead, she wants to die. Then Yeon-soo pulls out the baby card. Congrats, Sook-hee is pregnant. Now she has to live and accept to be trained, if only for her unborn child. All Kwon asks for is 10 years of her time as a government assassin, and then she gets a pension and her freedom. So Sook-hee goes through the program, and amongst other things there are makeup classes and acting classes. Aside from the more brutal trainings, apparently a seductive skill is just as important as target practice. Soon enough the baby's born, and Sook promises to protect it at whatever cost. No one better mess with the bad mama assassin. One instance, all the recruits are at a sword sparring session, and one girl, in particular, has given Sook-hee's personal friend a hard time. She also makes the mistake of challenging Sook. To cut a long story short, Sook gives her a taste of her own medicine. Meanwhile, the superiors are observing through that CCTV room, and it seems one Hyun-soo has been chosen to be her secret handler once she gets out in the open world. So now as Sook gets a defining tattoo removed, she falls into another flashback where her first ever trainer named Young was giving her that same tattoo years ago. Now while there she promised to avenge her father's killers. Then we see the bad men responsible, and then we see that she has somehow caught up with him, and especially the bad man responsible. His name is Jang Chun, and he has bad dental hygiene. She thinks she's cornered him, but his men ambush her and tie her to a chair. Just when Jeong's about to begin torturing her, Zoom comes to her aid. Now it's back to the present at target practice, or even a challenge about who can assemble a pistol the fastest. Sook aces these tests because she's done them before as a teenager under Jung's tutelage, and soon enough, she's handed her first assignment. She arrives at a house on a motorbike and proceeds inside, but the target's already onto her and defends himself with a sword. It could be first time jitters because her combat is a bit shaky, but she's able to stab him as she runs. His men give chase, and it's a long pursuit. But she evades them all and jumps from bridge into river, and Kwon soon arrives to pick her up amid the first-time emotions. Now in one flashback, she experiences her father getting killed at the hand of the man with the bad teeth. It was all about a gemstone Sook-hee's father had acquired, or perhaps stolen from the sky, so Mr. Butterteeth must have felt strongly enough to snuff his longtime partner for it. Sook also remembers there was a second man there. Suffice to say, Sook-hee's father promised it would be her wedding gift, but he's dead now, and so Jang sold her off to a brothel on her first night there. Just so happened Young had a target there and ended up saving her before she was violated, and this is the beginning of their relationship. Soon Sook is ready to leave with her daughter for the outside world. Kwon soon has arranged everything, so they're driving to her new apartment and drop her off. Who's become her handler is lurking around too. Sook gets into the elevator, he accidentally follows her in and knocks over a box or two also, he just so happens to be her neighbor, plus he's a bit too friendly. It's so bad that Sook has to call Kwon at HQ to do a background check on him at the same time. He calls HQ too and is surprised at the coincidence. The next morning he helps her delay a bus, so he is her guardian angel too. They're soon on a first date, and Sook makes a comment about Yoon's tie. This takes her back in time. It's the same color of tie Jung wore on their wedding day. Yeah, Sook eventually married her mentor, and yeah, the guests were mostly his henchmen, but while on their honeymoon, Yoon got assassinated somehow. On another note, it also proves that Yoon has done his homework as they head back home. He alights the taxi early, and Sook is compelled to at least meet him halfway. They get to her apartment and start smooching, but then Sook gets a call she's soon reunited with Manju, her old friend, and they're to do a job together at the staging area. Sook is able to help steal the bad guy's phone while they seduce both men. She goes into the bathroom to download its contents. On exiting, Manju has a knife to her neck, and it seems the two bad guys are onto him. They ask for the phone back as a knife fight ensues. Min is not strong or fast enough and is stabbed. She dies while in transit as Sook repeatedly begs that she be taken to the hospital. Now when Sook gets home that evening, she's overwhelmed as she gets into the shower with her clothes. Yoon checks up on her as she cries, and the next morning he's feeding her little girl when she enters. Funny thing is they both carry on like they're not blood-cuddling assassins in real life. He says he's a terrible person. She expresses the same sentiment. Yada yada. They even decide to get married, and so Kwon soon arranges the nuptials. Even Six old nemesis from the training school shows up to the event. My oh my, she's still the bright ass, and even on her wedding day Kwon reaches out, and Sook gets into gear. Now in the restroom she has to assemble a hidden rifle, and then through the vent she uses her gun to scope and identify her target. It just so happens to be Jong, her former mentor and husband. She was told he got assassinated. Well, she misfires and loses the target because she has a wedding to get to. It's like she's literally seen a ghost. It's the same Jong she wrongfully killed an entire building of bad guys back at the beginning. For now, later on, Young, being the man that he is, retraces his would-be assassin's steps. He's checking out the restroom from where he was shot. He also gets info about the wedding held earlier that day, but he can't seem to recognize the bride. Apparently, she had an operation or two. He confronts Sook at dinner while Yoon is taking a call privately. Jung doesn't recognize her as his own Sook-hee, so the moment passes and he leaves. Sook breathes a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Yoon's in the restroom reporting back to HQ, so with a little bit more backstory, we're taken to when Yoon managed to kill Mr. Yellowteeth on behalf of Sook-hee. He's having nightmares about it, and especially about that yellow-colored breath. Not just kidding. It's the same night she suggests the idea to him of getting married. Later on, while preparing for another acting gig, an admirer sends her flowers, and always with a note. It has some directions to someplace she goes there, making sure to avoid those cameras on the way. She is successful at eluding her watchers online or offline, and now she's obtained a recording on a flash drive and heads to a public computer cafe to find out its contents. She hears the voice of Yeon-soo. His call to HQ was tapped, and on it, he essentially reveals he's her secret handler and perhaps their romance is fake, although not in so many words. Well, she cries but has to get back to whoever sent her flowers. In the recording she warns him that another assassin has been sent to kill him, so he gets the hint, and this new assassin is ambushed before she even gets out the door. Her handler Kwon figures that they've been compromised, and no Sook is to blame. I'm back at home. Sook catches Yoon on the phone with HQ, but he's able to convince her the call is about his sick mother. Does she believe him? No, but she hugs him anyways and bids him to have a safe trip. As Sook leaves her building that same day, Kwon arrests her. Now they plan to hand her over to other branches of authority for treasonable offenses, for example, colluding with criminal elements to harm an agent of the government. Kwon directs Yoon to pick the daughter up as they go. Soon enough their transport is ambushed. It's Yoon coming to Sook's rescue for the umpteenth time now. Sook heads back to her apartment to get her daughter. On her way there it blows up and she can see Yoon clutching her daughter as the blast throws him over the balcony. He lands in front of her on the street. Her daughter doesn't seem conscious, and with his last breath Yoon tries to tell her who is responsible for all of it, but he gives up the ghost. So Sook heads back to HQ to confront Kwon. Oh, she's so angry she wants to kill this intelligence boss lady, but Kwon plays her a security cam video from earlier in the day. and it's her apartment before it was blown up. Yoon had successfully picked the daughter up and is shown opening the door when he's attacked by Yoon's men. Yoon reveals to Jung through the phone that the little girl is really his daughter, but he tells Yoon it's his life for hers and he can't do it. The henchmen go on to snuff out the nanny and wait on Jung's instructions, so that evening, as Sook approaches her apartment, June gives the signal, and boom, he wanted her to see her closest family gone right in front of her. Such a sadist, and back at HQ Sook has seen enough and blasts away at the screens in the room. She regrets her life and Kwon tries to console her. Now on her way to avenge the deaths, she's lucky enough to listen to a tape of a conversation Yoon had with Kwon. It pretty much suggests that he really wants to marry Sook anyways. There's no use of crying over spilt milk or blood in this case because Sook has her vision on Jong and his men. She sees them from her car and decides to literally crash their little party. Her car hits an internal pillar, and the guns start blazing. And one by one, she's taking them out as the ammo on both sides diminishes. Soon, she's face to face with Jung and requests a confession. Did he ever love her? He basically says not really because she had daddy issues, to which he orchestrated. Oh, she wants to kill him with her bare hands so she can experience what she has become, and so knives in each hand they dance, but with the intent to destroy each other. They both fight skillfully like the mentor versus pupil that they once were. They even take it outside too as Sook pushes them through the upstairs window, and they land precariously on an aircon unit. It's a relatively long way down as they end up on top of a parked vehicle. Jung's men arrive and try to get away. They commandeer a couch bus, but Sook gets there in time and is able to dismember the driver. The bus crashes into another private car. All the henchmen are unconscious except for Jung himself while she walks up to him and, at first, is hesitant to strike him with her axe, but then he infuriates her with whistling. It's the same tune she remembers her father's killers whistling. Jung was the second man in the room. Sook-hee finally strikes him, and soon the police arrive. Oh, and she has that same sadistic smile as at the beginning. This was Villainous, a 2017 South Korean action film directed by Jong Young-gil. It starred Kim Ak-bin, Min Yi-ji, Shin Hye-ki and Sung Joon Kim. Seo-hyung. If you guys are feeling all of this, go ahead and hit subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell for more content. Until next time.